Greetings.
She's watching.
Before I get into all of this and the explanation on what it is and what it is not, we will first show you a little something like this. Greetings. I am your host, Jason Wright, the CEO of Yes California organization, the head of Calexit, the editor-in-chief for our organization and our movement. Our president, Marcus Ruiz Evans, here, graciously letting me use his studio and also doing a little meta recording. So, today we have for you a loose breakdown of what is self-determination. Now, I don't normally just break it down into loose terms. I try to stay as much with the actual legal wording as possible. But I understand sometimes we just need to hear it plain. So here we go. According to the United Nations, self-determination, the goal of even the UN itself, is to develop friendly relations among nations based on respect for the principles of equal rights and self-determination of peoples, and to take appropriate measures to strengthen universal peace. Universal peace. Let that one sink in. Go big or go home. And since we're already here on Earth, and this is our home, why stop at world peace? Why not have 100% peaceful discussions about things? Do we have to be at each other's throats all the time? Do we have to be filled with vehemence and hatred? Or, as the UN has pointed out, is there another way, perhaps a better way, to go about life together on this planet as a bunch of human beings? Well, because we are human beings, all of us. I mean, I like to joke that I'm like, from Pluto, or I'm just some robot or something. But really, in all honesty, we're all human beings here. There is a better way that we can live together on this planet. And that starts by not being at each other's throats. It's by acknowledging that I have the right to self-determination. I have the right to choose for myself. The people of California, we have the right to choose for ourselves. And also, the people of Texas have the right to choose for themselves. The people of New Hampshire, Oregon, Hawaii, Puerto Rico, everyone, everywhere has this right. The UN says that this is a fundamental human right. It is inalienable. You cannot take it away. Even if you outlaw it, it still exists. So, what exactly is it in the UN that lays all of this out? Well, the United Nations Entrance Charter, Chapter 1, Article 1, Part 2. It very clearly lays out, and pardon the name tag there. Again, I am in Marcus's studio, the very famous studio that everyone sees all the time. Yes, I am here in Fresno, the Calexit Envoy travels. we can look at this and we can see clearly that the United Nations Entrance Charter is a very serious document. They go into some lengthy explanations. It's quite a large document, for sure. But the thing to remember is this is the entrance charter. In order to be part of the United Nations, a government of a country must sign and thereby agree to everything in this document, which, again, is quite substantial. That's not the size of the paper top to bottom. That's how thick the stack of paper is when you've got the whole thing together. Take a few days to read if you're a fast reader like I am. So, the entrance charter, right up there in the beginning, it's very clear. If you are going to join the United Nations, you have to agree that the people everywhere have the right to choose for themselves. Now, why is this so important? Well, that's a good question. If you've been paying attention lately, you will have seen the United States Supreme Court, otherwise known as SCOTUS, has been coming out with all sorts of decisions lately. One of which is kind of one of the most hot topic issues right now. They overturned Roe v. Wade. Now, those who maybe didn't know, Roe versus Wade, the Supreme Court says back in, 50 years ago, in the recent past, says, hey, people have the right to choose for themselves. Well, they just overturned that, though. So people no longer have the right to choose? Is that what America is about? I thought America was supposed to be the land of freedom, opportunity, inclusivity, a place where it doesn't matter if you're religious or not. It doesn't matter what your melanin count is. It doesn't matter what nation or nations of origin you yourself or even your ancestors might be from. None of it matters because we are all human beings. Well, the Supreme Court now, I guess, could beg to differ. They say no. Now, this is interesting because the United States is one of the larger members of the United Nations. And they're supposed to be, working in favor of self-determination, which again, it's and I'm gonna, Googled up, so I got it here for you. The principle of self-determination is prominently embodied in Article 1 of the Charter of the United Nations. It denotes the legal right of people to decide their own destiny in the international order. Self-determination is a core principle of international law, arising from customary international law, but also recognized as a general principle of law and enshrined in a number of international treaties. And that's right. That's right. It's not only in the United Nations Entrance Charter. It occurs actually in multiple varying places internationally. Now, Pardon, it's very hot and dusty out here. It's 104 degrees, and I'm wearing a black shirt and a tie. Hey, that's dedication, though, right? So, the United States, right? So, many people around the world can agree with this. The United States has signed on to become part of the UN and thereby agrees with this. However, what they have just been doing very recently actually goes against that. It is antithetical to self-determination. So it sounds kind of like the United States no longer wants to be in the UN, or maybe that the United States, maybe they do want to stay in the UN, they just don't want to acknowledge that people have the right to decide for themselves on an international level, not just personal. From the very bottom level all the way to the top, we have these rights as people, as our individual selves, and as collective. California, as Californians, we have this right. And not just because our commander-in-chief, Governor Newsom, says, hey, SCOTUS says this, I'm going to say this, I'm going to pen out this, and make sure that all 40 million of us are protected from what SCOTUS just said. I mean, that's good. That's good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not ripping on Governor Newsom, Commander-in-Chief Newsom. I'm just trying to point out the United States is very clearly working against people, not just itself and its own rules and system of governance. It is working against the people. It is working against you. It is working against me. It is working against all of us. It no longer cares. And that much is evident when you look at what is self-determination. It is the right to choose for yourself as a people on an international level. That's huge. So California really could legally enter the international political scene, could very legally enter into the international economic scene, and no longer just, have the United States controlling all of our international economic, and, they get to do all the international and we just have to produce everything for them. And again, is that self-determination? When California produces some of the highest grade agricultural products in the world, some of the most in demand, most of the top 10 most sought after agricultural products. Yet we can't set the price to something fair and reasonable so that we can still sell our goods. We can't set the price to something fair and reasonable so that our goods actually make it out there to where they would be bought up and maybe people wouldn't go so hungry. I'm not saying, I'm doing all this to cure world hunger, and I'm not saying California could cure world hunger all on its own, but we sure as heck could make a very serious dent, and we sure as heck could lead the international charge on ending world hunger. We could be one of the world leaders. And legally, we can do this. Even though the United States recently has been on a kick saying pretty much the opposite. Now, I know I, I'm taking, taking it out on America here. I don't hate America. The founding fathers' principles of equality, certain other things, the democratic due process, I like it. But it was, it's very archaic. It was not really wholesome back then when it was made. And, as one has to point out when they're being honest, they were following laws, and law stated that it was legal to enslave people, to own people. That doesn't sound like someone that's or something that's in line with self-determination. As much as I love John Adams, he's personally my fave, I still have to admit the United States was never really built in the most complete way. It was never really meant. I mean, we can look at some of the stuff from back in the day that says, wealthy, landowning white men, not women, not any other. And really, would they have acknowledged any other genders other than male and female back then? Because they were not this progressive. They were not this forward thinking. And they kind of knew that about themselves, which is why they built it in a way that it can constantly be shaped, be reformed to be better for the people, not to work against them. And that's why the United States joining in with the United Nations, which started here in California, by the way, well, that's why it was a big thing. And now we see the United States doesn't really seem to agree with that anymore. So, we have the right to choose as a people, as Californians, what are we going to do? Are we going to continue to allow the subjugation of our 40 million people? And remember, we got 40 million people right now. Give it 2 or 3 generations from now, how many people do you think are going to be in California? How many Californians will there be? Most likely, a lot more. So that's even more people we need to protect from tyranny, from those who agreed at one point that they didn't know everything, but they knew enough to know that they didn't know everything, and that it would need to continually be fine-tuned for the people. And then go back on it once it suits them. Do we continue to subjugate ourselves? Because honestly, the United States federal government has its boot on the throat of California and has for a long time. Same with Hawaii. They annexed us, they annexed Hawaii, all because they wanted what was here. They killed off people here and in Hawaii. And also Puerto Rico. I mean, the United States has a pretty clear pattern of just tromping all over people's right to self-determination. So do we continue with this? Or can we just Calexit now? It's not for me to decide. It's not for any one of us to decide. This is something we must all decide together, to pursue, actively, legally pursue our fundamental human right to self-determination. Do not think for 1 second that the United States would, say, go to war with California or Hawaii or Texas or New Hampshire, Puerto Rico, Oregon, Washington, Alaska, Florida, right? Flexit is going now. The New England Northern 13 colonies group that's starting up. I mean, and it's really saddening thinking about just how many people have been subjugated. And I talk about California, but this applies to everyone. Self determination applies to all people everywhere. And, people keep bringing up, why would Calexit work with Texit? I can explain that for you right now. Self determination. I respect their right as Texans to govern Texas, to rule Texas, to decide as Texans what they want in Texas. Just as much as they, in the spirit of supporting self-determination while pursuing self-determination, support our right as Californians to decide what California wants and needs. They agree. We have the right. That's Texas. All of you who think that Texans are unreasonable people, hear this pretty clearly, please. I want you to really listen up. The people who have been unreasonable about the pursuit of self-determination are the corporate sellouts in the federal government and at state government levels. It's not Texans. It's not Californians. It's not Oregonians. It's the government. Our elected governing officials have really just screwed us. Pardon the French, even though it's non-français. But really, they stomp on us, light us on fire, and then put it out with their boot. And we're supposed to just sit here and like it? We're supposed to ask them for more? Oh yeah, light us on fire again. Let all of our lands burn up, our beautiful forests. Yeah, neglect it. And then tell us how we can't take care of those fires. We can't touch them. Because it's your land, federal government. It's not our land. It's yours. Therefore, we can't touch it. Well, I am one of many, right? 40 million. I am one of many Californians who are openly disgusted with the way the federal government has behaved. Not just over Roe v. Wade, but over pretty much everything in the last 20 to 30 years. The more you look at it, the clearer it becomes. We are subjugated. We are very heavily abused. Our hashtag of national divorce. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene started tweeting out the national divorce stuff. Am I like a huge fan of Representative Taylor Greene? No. I mean, she doesn't represent me. I'm a Californian. But I kind of dig it that she, helped our hashtag go viral, national, international. Enough so that more than just Calexit seems like it's about to take place. Calexit, Texit, Orexit, Washexit, Aloha Independence, or Free Hawaii. We've got many different movements. NHXit, we've got many movements. That I'm only naming some of the ones that we're actually, friendly with. And by friendly, I mean we have a mutual respect for each other's right to self-determination. Because no one wants this to break out into a bloody Civil War 2.0. We just want to be free. We just want our lands to stop burning. We want to be able to go and take care of those forest fires before they detrimentalize our health, our safety, our homes, our infrastructure, our crops. And as one of the largest agricultural entities of the freaking world, you know what happens when our crops are destroyed? The California money starts to dry up. Does that prevent the United States federal government from saying, hey, you got to give us more money because we need to spend more on warfare around the world? No, it does not stop them. Not for 1 second. Because the way that the United States spends, the way that they budget, is they look at how much they think an entity would be capable of making. They then, pardon me 1 second. Again, it's dry, it's 104 degrees, and I'm wearing a tie and a button-up shirt. They look at what they think an entity should make. They say, California, make us $1 trillion next year. And then they immediately go and, spend out that $1 trillion before it's ever made, which is forced subjugation. It's indentured servitude. That is slavery. They are enslaving us, folks. We have no choice but to continually vote to raise taxes on ourselves to the point where we can't even afford, as Californians, to live in our beloved golden land anymore. Because we have to meet the demand of the federal government, which says no money for books and baby bottles, only money for bombs and bullets. Are we going to continue with this? We've just been sinking the whole time. And as Californians, we're pretty good at handling stuff. We're pretty good at meeting the mark even when it seems impossible. But how much longer can we really keep that up? Can we go another 10 years? For those of you who don't know, it's almost 10 years of Calexit coming up. We're halfway through this year now. Next year, 6 months from now, it'll be the 10-year mark. Let that sink in. We have been working at this for 10 years. I personally have only been involved, 7 years? 6.5, 7 years? Really, President Marcus Ruiz Evans there, he's the guy who started it all. If you're not familiar, look at the book California's Next Century 2.0. It's the updated version. He explains it very clearly. He explains it in much more technical terms than I am now. But it shows very clearly that we are heavily subjugated. We are forced into servitude. We are forced to do the bidding of the federal government. We are forced to serve them. Do we want to keep at that? Do we think we can continue this trend for much longer before we just kind of all die of heart attacks and strokes and whatnot? I mean, we're already overworked. We're already understaffed. We're already underpaid. We're already going without healthcare, medical, dental, mental health. We go without on most everything that we really need so that we can give America's federal government what it wants. California's next century 2.0. This baby right here will tell you everything you need to know if you are a Californian. Trust me. But, go ahead and do read it. Trust me, but trust me enough to read it. It's great. When you're done with that, I might recommend The Progressive Solution: How Conservatives Have Made America Hostile towards those of us who actually care about each other. That one will tell you the why and a little bit of the how. This one, what will California look like in 100 years, 50 years, 20 years? This one tells you everything you need to know as a Californian of what it is that makes us different from America, what it is that America sees in us. I like to call us the unlimited spending card in the federal government's wallet. And as we just discussed, $1 trillion or so, and they spend it on bombs and bullets rather than books and baby bottles. So can we just Calexit now? Please? Please? I know I want it. We know there are a lot of people who wanted it back when Trumpelstiltskin came in. I mean, when President Trump came into office, we saw Los Angeles, our most populous city, filled to the brim. People marching through the streets, packed so tight, if it was pandemic times, everyone would have been worried. Marching through the streets, holding signs saying resist, holding signs saying Calexit, holding signs saying Calexit now. Yeah, you like that, Dan? I didn't say President Orange. I stopped myself before I finished it. I did not say President Orange. So we're going to go through the comments here because I feel like I might be beating a dead horse. And that dead horse is California, unfortunately. We are the horse that was run over and over and over and over through a race until it dropped dead of a heart attack. The American federal government came in, lit us on fire, and we're just trying to put out the fire, and maybe we can revive the horse before it's too late. We have, oh yes, good old George Soros comments. Oh yes, you can count 1, 2. Well, Alan Vaughn, thank you for noticing. I hope you can also notice that not everyone tunes in live, especially in the middle of a workday. Because, as we said earlier, We're overworked, understaffed, underpaid. Maybe you missed the memo? We've got Daniel Santoro. Muchas gracias. I don't know if you speak Spanish, but thank you very much. Yes, it's all about the tie. It's not about the fact that I am actually renowned throughout parts of the world, by people who are leading countries, which I'm pretty sure, Alan, pretty sure I've never seen you leading a country. But, you know, it's the tie, not the fact that I'm renowned as the expert on this matter. Losing faith in the cause. Okay, well, I will go ahead and show this one. That's sad. That one actually has me feeling for you. While so many of our brothers and sisters of California are actually coming around and noticing that what we've been saying this whole time is 100% accurate, it's saddening to see that anyone could lose faith. And I would, just encourage you. Maybe open your heart a little more, open your mind a little more, open your ears a little more. Really, whatever it is that you need to do to re-strengthen your faith. No one should lose faith, especially not in our beloved California. I mean, it's not for no reason that this is one of my favorite hats. It's got our flag, it's got the Cali, it's got Cali there, right? And yes, I do have very long hair. Now, y'all didn't know that you got a legitimate rock star as a CEO. Oh, well, I guess you do now. Calexit now, says Devil War. Yes! Sí se puede! Yes. Kansas Arado. Thank you, Daniel. I was going to mention them as well. We haven't actually started working with them. We have just loosely opened dialogue. But that is a great point. The Lakota nations, the Lakota peoples, have a movement too. And here at Yes California, I know not all Californians view our indigenous brothers and sisters as such. But here at Yes California, we do, because we recognize the right, the fundamental right to self-determination. And that means that we can't exclude anyone, especially not just because we don't agree with them, like Texas. Yeah, Texas has a lot of legislative stuff that would not fly in California. Does that mean we need to hate Texas? No. In fact, quite the opposite. We need to work together. We need to be supportive of one another. Unless we want it to come to blows. But that's what this peaceful national divorce is about. We are all being used and abused. We all have this fundamental human right. All we need to do, reach out and take it. So we'll go. Okay. I know you're trolling. but I'll go ahead and humor you. What gender do you think I am, Alan? I'm very clearly a man. I am an ally of anyone who's a sane, reasonable, non-violent person. That also includes many of our LGBTQIA plus brothers and sisters. I know exactly where you're trying to go with this, and I find that kind of disgusting. You should be ashamed of yourself for that one. I was feeling for you because you lost faith, but that's just nasty. Daniel here. Daniel understands. Daniel knows. Yeah, and see, we don't have to like the people. We don't have to agree with their stance on issues other than the right to self-determination. That is the one and only thing that matters. Because again, we as Californians get no say what happens in Texas. Do I think as a Californian that I would even be able, if made a Texan and put into power of Texas, given carte blanche authority, do I even think that I would be able to effectively govern Texas? No, because I'm a Californian. I know what works here. I know what feels right to me and to a lot of us. But I could not rightfully go and, and yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene, with the pictures of the assault rifles and the videos and whatnot. And hey, I'm not anti-gun. I'm from up in gold country. The gun population up there is higher than the human population. But I just think that maybe our elected officials shouldn't go around posting videos of, this is what I would do to someone if they come. I'm all for peace. You can have a firearm and still be peaceful. Yes, I know. It's not counterintuitive. Peaceful does not mean anti-gun. Peaceful means anti-using violence against others. So, do I agree that Marjorie Taylor Greene is not really representative of California values? Yes, I wholeheartedly agree on that. But guess what? She's not the elected representative for California. So, we'll go some more. Oh, yeah. Oh, here's a good one. Folks, just remember, California must be free. We need it. We don't just want it, we need it. This needs to happen. And not just because I say so, not just because Daniel says so here, but really, because it's the right thing for all of us. And an independent California could do great things for the world without costing ourselves. What costs us more is not doing all of that. What costs us the most is staying under the federal government. There's another example. California must be free. Oh, yes. And now, on a different topic. Where did I get this hat, President Marcus? Our president, Marcus Ruiz Evans, actually gave me this as a little gift so that I could wear it He gave me two hats. You may have seen in previous videos a black hat with silver California with a bear on it. He gave me that one and this one, so that on the Calexit Envoy trips that I'm doing, which I'll let you in on a little secret, I might be going back up to Oregon to meet up with the or exit people, since the Cascadia leadership seems to be hell-bent on violence. So, it is specifically so that we can showcase, one, California pride. I know there are going to be folks, when I go out to Texas, there will probably be folks who see the Cali hat and scowl. They don't want it there. They don't like to see it there. I'm not afraid, because I know the people that I'm going to be with are from Texas nationalist movement. They're reasonable, sane people who are sticking with the law. And part of the law requires 100% peaceful pursuit of this. Now, I know things might potentially get a little touchy or a little rocky, but I'm willing to go there for all of us, not just for myself, because I am one of the many. I know that the way I am does not wholly and adequately represent all Californians. No one person can. But I like to think that most of us Californians are sane and reasonable enough, and, like to follow the law and not, start civil war and stuff like that. That I think that it's a adequate representation of California value. The mindset, the heart-mind place that we kind of seem to come from as Californians. Is it going to be a little edgy if people don't like seeing Cali out there in Texas? Could be. But you know what? I'm not there to become a Texan. When I go there, I will be going there to help secure Texas population's vote and will to let California go. Yes. So if we want to go, we'll need 26 other states that say, yeah, you can go. We will let you go. And that'll be it. But if we do nothing but call them racist and xenophobic and fascists, and, well, they're not really going to work with us, are they? It would maybe be appropriate to assume that some people might say, no, if they're really suffering under the federal government, keep California under it, just out of spite. And we don't want that. What we want is to Calexit now. What we need is to Calexit now. So, as I go around doing the Envoy trips, I will be wearing this or the silver and black. Maybe I'll get another nifty hat. Marcus finds them. I don't know where. He's got great taste, obviously. I will continue to sport our California pride that we have. One of many, but trying to be representative somewhat. Trying to, show that Californians really do love California. Even when we go visit Texas, even if we go visit Florida, Alabama, New Hampshire, Kentucky, Tennessee, Alaska, Washington, Oregon, Hawaii, Baja California Sur, anywhere we go. And when I was up in Oregon recently to try to build bridges with the Cascadia folks, who I met, I want to be clear, I met plenty of people who identify as part of Cascadia and as Cascadians, who are actually, from what I could tell, pretty reasonable people, people who are not for violence. It is the leadership, right? So we're a movement. I'm one of the leaders of Calexit, right? I'm the topmost whatever, but I couldn't do it all on my own, and no movement is just one person. That's not a movement. Their leadership refused to work with us because we're reasonable and work with, other movements, in the sense of I cannot claim the right to self-determination while denying your right to self-determination. That's not how it works. Either you agree that there is this fundamental human right, or you are the Supreme Court of the United States of America. Yeah. So until their leadership is changed and no longer made of people who are pushing for violent sedition, we can't have anything to do with them. I know. They say they can't have anything to do with us because we work with Texas, because we're friendly, because we don't hate Texans. Okay, well, if someone's gonna not work with me because I'm not filled with hatred, I'm okay with that. I really am. I'm not one for being filled with hatred or hypocrisy. I'm one for following law and being peaceful in my pursuit of following law. So hopefully, I'm able to build some bridges with Orexit, because those folks are active again. In fact, many different movements which had kind of dropped off the radar are now active again. Yes, I think the Calexit movement is stronger than ever. I think we had roughly 1/3 to 1/2 of Californians either in support or willing to talk about and at least, have a civil discussion about Calexit. And in just 1 week, we saw some numbers that clearly showed us, before Twitter started limiting our, and I said it in the Calexit Congress meeting on Sunday, 70,000 in 12 hours. That's kind of a lot, especially when 10,000 of that was in the first hour. All the way down to 400 and 500 over a day or two. It's very clear they're limiting, right? They are scared. And by they, I mean the powers that be. The ones who don't want California to leave because they see it as an unlimited spending card for their industrial war machine that goes around the world subjugating people. They don't want Calexit to happen. It's really not in their best interest. It's in our best interest as Californians. So the movement is strong. The numbers are being played with. And that just tells us how much stronger it is. I've posted recently on one of our social media sites, pages, that, if they weren't scared of us, they wouldn't have to censor us. Now, some of us know that old adage, something to the effect of, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, and then they work against you. That's how you know you're winning. When they openly start working against you. Now, back to self-determination. Under all of this legal stuff around self-determination, it actually says very clearly that the overlord nation is not to ever work against such a movement of the people. If they are peacefully pursuing the, fundamental right of self-determination, then they are doing it by legal standards, in which case you have no legal grounds to do anything to them. It's only the moment that someone like, I don't know, Arabella Stevenson posts something with a AK-47 and, this is my right, my choice, and I'm calling for an armed yada yada woohoo. Well, yeah, that's when the FBI comes knocking at your door. And we know this. We have been very careful to never, ever, ever be like that, because we understand enough law to know that that is the only thing that they can use to come and get you. People accused us of Russia, and, did things like tagging the FBI's Twitter, right? Oh, FBI, you need to look at these people. You need to deal with them. They're Russian bots and they're paid for by Putin. And Well, eventually, the FBI said, okay, enough people have been looking and, saying whatever. We have to at least look into it, right? And they did. We survived 3 separate independent federal investigations. Each one of them found we do not have any connections to any foreign government. We do not, nor have we ever received any sort of money from any federal government or any foreign government. My apologies. They cleared us. All of these bogus accusations that, several trolls who still persist at it, they, trolls will troll, I guess. But all of these bogus accusations were very clearly disproven by the 3 highest and most thorough investigative forces on the planet. Not only that, but the people with the vested interest to actually shut our movement down. If they had found something, they would have done it in a heartbeat. I'm pretty sure they wanted some of that to be true so that they could prevent Calexit. But again, we have always remained staunch in our stance. 100% legal, 100% peaceful pursuit of self-determination. That's it. What's our stance on abortion rights? We don't really have one. We have one issue. Calexit now. What's our stance on guns? We don't really have one. But, the gun population of California rivals that of small countries. We have one issue. Calexit. exit now. Now. Because we've been trying this for 10 years. The time to Calexit was actually about 5 years ago or so. If we wait much longer, the United States Federal Supreme Court might actually close what little loophole we have left. The legal bearing that we have, we've got this much wiggle room, folks, and we have done it perfectly. It's because we really want this to happen. And I would judge, I try not to judge, but I would judge that those who do not make that conscious effort to stay 100% in that straight and narrow, as hard as it is, and trust me, it's hard. Sometimes I do want to say things that I just can't. Well, those people who maybe refuse to stay 100% peaceful and legal, or maybe they just, let it slip. Well, I would say they don't really care enough about their own cause in order to, make it happen. What they're really concerned with is what it is that they want. Here at Yes California, Calexit, we are committed to California, to Californians, and to achieving Calexit. That is all. We recognize the vast potential. Don't get us wrong, as the head of Calexit, folks ask me regularly, what is it that, California, if independent, what is it that would make us so special? What could we do? Well, yeah, one of the largest economic entities of the world, one of the absolute largest agricultural entities of the world. But it's so much more than that. Californians regularly lead the way. And now, I personally am not a huge fan of our Commander-in-Chief, Governor Newsom. I know some people are, and some people aren't. And again, we don't really take a stance on that. I'm saying me personally, Jason Wright, not the biggest fan. I don't hate the guy, just like I don't hate Texans. I just see that we need more from him. We need better. We need him to take Commander-in-Chief Newsom. If you're watching this, if you're hearing this, we need you to take the next step. We need you to let go of the aspiration of being the president of the United States of America. Hey, the United States of America is crumbling. It's not really going to exist in 20, 30 years. Some say less, some say a little bit more. That's what you want to rule? And not like, the independent Republic of California? I'm just saying, what we need from you as our top official is for you to get with the program, sir. And, your second in command already has, it seems. Lieutenant Governor Eleni Kounalakis. So, what do we do? How do we do it? How do we pursue this self-determination? Well, first and foremost, we at Yes California are finally, with the change in leadership and, I'm no longer just the Bay Area regional coordinator. I never really stopped being the regional coordinator for the Bay because it's where I live, even though physically I'm here in the Valley right now. with this change in leadership, we are pursuing the means of funding to get this done. We don't need hundreds of billions of dollars to make it happen. Actually, it's a fairly reasonable amount that we need to raise in order to get our independence initiative filed. It's a fairly reasonable amount that we need in order to get the signatures to get this up for a vote before the people. But it's going to be up to whatever elected officials we have, Madam Weber, Madam Kounalakis, Mr. Newsom. It will be up to you to pursue the will of the people. So we will need our leadership to be effective, ready, well-versed on all of this stuff, right? And hey, you've got a renowned expert, people around the world. I mean, Marcus and I, several years ago, were personally requested by a committee from another country that was like, hey, we're talking law stuff and international law, and you guys know what this is all about. Can we pick your brains and learn from you? How many people get asked that? Only the best people, that's for sure. Only the most knowledgeable people, especially on something like this. I'm pretty sure most of the United States federal government doesn't even know what's in the United Nations Entrance Charter. Sure, there are probably some who are paid to know and keep things in check. But really, there are few who understand this issue like myself and Marcus. Madam Kounalakis, Lieutenant Governor, Mr. Newsom, Commander-in-Chief and Governor, if you are open to it, if you are willing, if your hearts and minds and ears are ready, we can and will help you with all of this. We will give you everything you need to know to make it happen. Because we have one issue. Calexit now. So we'll go back to some comments here. Daniel says, I run a Calexit page on Instagram called Free California. Yeah, and you know, Daniel, finding that CCTV interview of me from several years ago, I hope you heard that. That was Marcus clapping for you. You got kudos from both of us. That was a great find. Thank you, my fellow Californian. Now I enjoy your speech and enjoy what your personality about being peaceful, not with hate towards others. Very peaceful person. Time to get my... Yeah, and you know, it's totally, it is a natural human reaction to feel things and to feel them strongly. It's all in how we deal with it, right? So you say, you know, I'm a peaceful person. I actively choose peace, right? That is definitely the way to be. In my book, in our organization's book, you get 2 thumbs up on that. It doesn't mean you have to love America. It doesn't mean you have to be like, yeah, Joe Biden's the best. I don't like Biden as much as I don't like Trump, as much as I don't like the Clintons, as much as I don't like any of them. The federal government is the federal government. And, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, they are great examples of what we say here all the time. When a Californian goes to work for the federal government, they cease to be in line with California values. They lose touch with California and Californians. And they no longer work for California and Californians. They work for themselves, personal enrichment, and the enrichment of the federal government, who just likes to spend it all on war around the world. So, again, Commander-in-Chief Newsom, Governor Newsom, if you're hearing this, I would like to make it abundantly clear to you, sir. In fact, I will take off the hat. Oh, let me smooth back my beautiful golden locks. I know it looks dark, but it's blonde. Get extra serious here and look you deep in the eyes, Mr. Newsom, Commander-in-Chief Newsom. And yes, I keep pointing it out because you are our Commander-in-Chief, and I want you to hear this. I hope you are listening to this right now because this message is for you, sir. If you actively pursue the office of the presidency, it is going to steal your California soul. You will not be in touch with us. You will not be aligned with California values. You will not be even legally able to work for California. You will have to work for all of them, which include those states that you've recently banned travel to, which you yourself have traveled to. But that's going to be another video. Point is, sir, hypocrisy and tyranny or self-determination and, a much greater potential. The choice is yours, sir. It's your life. In the pursuit of self-determination, you get to make your choice. If that is what you choose, that is what you choose. And hey, I don't hate you. Maybe I don't exactly want it, so I'm not going to wish you all the best in it. But if that's your choice, I'll support it. I will support anybody's choice of self-determination, the choice of the self. I would just strongly encourage you to reconsider, sir. Strongly. So strongly, I took off the Cali hat and smoothed back the rock star hair. Now that the hat's back on, back to the comments. Daniel asks, which country you guys go? I'm not entirely sure. Can you clarify your question for us, Daniel? I will getting a little stuffy from so hot and dry. There is potential for an independent Republic of California and an independent Oregon and an independent Washington and an independent Hawaii and an independent, nice ice cold rock star. Oh, thank you, Marcus. Best president ever. My turn for applauding. There is vast potential. There are myriad choices. We've recently been reached out to on Twitter, someone from the European Union, more than one someone, saying that an independent California would most likely be very welcomed in the European Union. Now, there's options. It's not up to me to decide. It's up to us, right? So I'm just going to kind of analyze it real quick, just lightweight. If California was independent as a country and joined into the European Union, we could theoretically, potentially, have things like universal health care, full comprehensive medical, dental, mental, right? Um, Freedom of movement throughout the European Union. Well, what if I'm really keen on going to Scotland though? Well, India F2 is coming up. Those of you who followed along with us for a long time know. While most of the North American movements have modeled themselves after us, we actually took a lot of pages out of the books of the Scots. And, if they do reestablish their independence, it seems likely they will rejoin the EU, right? So, under all of this hypothetical, we could potentially have freedom of movement from California to Scotland or Finland. And, Finland, like, gonna be joining NATO already, whatever. Sanna Marin, Madam Prime Minister, don't do it. A lot of that has to do more with there are people and, there's history that ties us together. A lot of Europeans, when they think of America, they're really thinking of California. When they come to America to visit, they come to California. My hometown, the city hall in my hometown, is called Finnish Temperance Hall. Not Finnish as in completed and done. Finnish as in Finski Suomilian. Yeah. Because the area was originally, when it was being built into a town, settled by the Finnish people. Some Finnish miners, no less, granite miners, who were some of the best. And were so good that most of the federal buildings that exist in the United States of America, when you see that granite that's got all that like perfect balance of white and the black mica, and yeah, that's from Rocklin, 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 California, up in Placer County. It's where I'm from, in case you didn't know. Gold country. So there are long existing, very deep ties, not just with Finland and Scotland and Ireland, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, and all parts of Spain, even Catalan, right? There are Catalonians who, have come over here. In fact, California, really do. We support their right to the peaceful pursuit of self-determination. Which is why we were so glad to see that they were in turn supporting Biafra, who also is seeking a 100% legal and peaceful means to the pursuit of self-determination. Folks, it's all we have to do is agree that my right to self-determination and your right to self-determination are one and the same. I support you. Can you support me? It's not going to cost either of us anything. It's only going to help us both. This is what it's all about. And that's our president's phone. Doing the meta. So now that he's sitting here, let me put this up there so he can peek over and see.
I think you're doing a good job. I just think it's cool that you're on the stream and I can see on the stream and it looks good.
So it has been 1 hour, 20 minutes and some change. I think I will just sign it off with this. We at Yes California, we, the Calexit movement, have one goal, one stance, one and one only. Cal exit now.